Perhaps we haven't met. I'm Discord.
Another chaotic battle!
Taste the scream of death.
Greetings, comrades. This is 88Kelu, and I'm here with another chaotic video. Now, this deck may seem somewhat familiar. This is my Danian Compost deck, except it's been modified slightly for two reasons. The first and foremost is for the Pauper challenge given to me by Jack, which is basically to make a 6v6 deck with only using common and uncommon cards. The second reason is, and the reason why I chose this for that deck, is to make an easy to understand and easy to build deck for my chaotic tutorial. So for all of you who are wondering why this is on that playlist, this is your answer. So first off, I'm going to explain it in terms of a 6v6 deck, and then I'll dwindle it down to a 3v3 and then a 1v1. So the cards I have here, this is a Danian Compost deck, which for those of you who don't know, is a Danian deck that focuses on cards who, when they're sent to the graveyard, power up your other cards. For example, Machinaz, when he goes to the discard pile, gives all other Mandiblores 15 energy. Also another message is, apparently, I was told that apparently 1v1 and 3v3 decks also have 10 location cards and 20 attack cards. And Infect does something else in addition to just activating effects, which is that the creatures who become infected also count as Mandiblores. So, now back to the deck. Here we have two Machinazes. This one has a Barinthian Axe, which gives him +5 energy and Intimidate energy 10. Which means he'll have 75 energy. The essential stat here is Courage. Unfortunately, this Machinaz only has 65 Courage, which is why the Barinthian Axe can help him easily take down enemies. And then we have this Machinaz, which has 85 Courage. I think this guy probably has the minimal amount of Courage. Also 70 energy, and has a Orcus Undin, which gives him water, because this deck's attack deck is focused on courage, earth, and water. Then we have Hydrome. He will be your main attacker. He has 55 energy, earth, and water, 80 courage, and the Hive ability that he gains 15 energy and your opponent loses 15 energy. He has an Evergreen Tunic, which gives him +20 energy. Because, like the Barinthian Axe, the first one is stat check 50, gives him 5. The second one is stat check courage 75, which gives him 15. But for the Barinthian Axe, gives Intimidate energy 10. Whew. He also has 1 Muja counter. These two have 0. If Machinaz dies, all your other Mandiblores gain 15 energy, and everyone in this deck, apart from Unholden, is a Mandiblore. Now in your second row, we have our main Muja casters, which is Ivlan and Unholden. Unholden has 80 energy, 2 Muja counters, and the ability Sacrifice a Muja counter, Activate Hive. He also has Hive, which gives him 10 energy. He has 80 courage, and also an Evergreen Tunic, raising his HP to 80 and 90 if he uses Hive ability, though you should be using it on Hydrome, which is why Hydrome is your main attacker. Then we have Ivalon. Oh, this guy also has water and earth. Ivalon has 2 Muja counters, 55 energy, and 90 courage. If he goes to the discard pile, all of your Mandiblores gain 25 to all disciplines, which is really useful. He has a Citadel Lodestone, so he gains Earth because he just has water. And then in the back we have Mean. Mean has 55 energy, Earth, water, and air. No Mujic counters. The reason he is in the back is because of his ability, where he gains 5 energy for each creature in both players' discard piles. He also has 80 courage. I gave him the aspect amplifier of bravery, so he gains outperform courage 5. And now I will go on to the Mujics. I have a Harmonics of Water in case this Machinaz loses his battle gear, or in case you need to give it to this one, because this guy can't get water. I also have 2 Intense Polyphonies. Oh, by the way, Harmonics of Water gives target creature water or water 5 if it already has water, and costs 1 Muji counter. Intense Polyphony costs 2 and activates Hive, but if you took 15 or more damage this turn, then it costs 0. Then I have a Hive Unsung, which costs 1. Target Danian gains 10 energy. If Hive is active, it gains 10 courage for each Danian you control. Then I have a Cathra's Cacophony. Heal 5 damage to your engaged creature for each element type it has. If you control only Danians, you also deal 5 damage to your opponent for each element type that creature has. And then I have a Draining Dirge. Heal 15 damage to target Mandiblore. So you might want to replace a Cathra's Cacophony or a Unisong with another Draining Dirge. It's really up to you. And now we have the locations. I have 2 Swarp Tombs. Initiative Fire. The engaged creature with the lowest courage fails all checks it plays. And then I also have 2 Brawler's Burrows. Initiative Speed. When this becomes the active location, each player shuffles their attack discard pile and their attack deck. All creatures gain outperform all disciplines 5. Feel free to replace any number of these 4 location cards with a Hive Gallery, because I only have 1 in this location deck, because unfortunately I don't have 2, or with the Gloomuk Swamp or the Riverlands, because I think the Riverlands applies to creatures other than Overworlders. Then I have 1 Vidov's Refectorium. Initiative Wisdom. When this becomes the active location, each player draws 2 attack cards, then discards 2 attack cards. Also, as I mentioned, I have a Hive Gallery. Initiative Earth. Damage dealt by power attacks is reduced by 5. Engaged creatures gain outperform courage 5. 2 Ropa Shack Chime Grids. Initiative Mujic counter. When Ropa Shack Chime Grid becomes the active location, each player places a Mujic counter on a creature they control. This card is pretty much a standard for most of my decks, because in many of my decks I have creatures that are lacking Mujic counters in one way or another, and this is a good way to get them easily. And then I have 2 Mount Pillar Reservoirs. Initiative Water. Engaged creatures gain Fireproof 10. Danians gain Water 5. So if this is the active location, you don't want to be fighting with Machinaz because he has Fire. Whew. And now onto the attacks. 2 Swarming Destructions, 5 base damage, 5 earth, and 5 water. If you have any creatures that aren't Danians, this attack deals 0. No problem there. Sleet Slide, 5 water. If your opponent has water, it deals 0. Tidal Surge, 5 water. If your opponent has any Mujic counters, this attack deals 0. Daunting Bravery, 5 base. challenge, courage 15, deal 10, stat check, courage 50, your opponent loses 15 courage. 2, Charge of the Braves, challenge, courage 5, deal 10, challenge, courage 30, deal 10, challenge, courage 50, deal 10. So you could do a total of 30 with that. Mineral Mayhem, 5 base, 5 earth. You can have this attack deal no damage, and instead your creature gains 100 courage. Arbor Smash, 5 base, stat check, courage 50. Your creature gains element type earth. That's in case you lose earth. 2, Geyser Gush, 5 earth, 5 water, stat check, courage 50, deal 5. Shadow Strike, challenge, courage 15, deal 10. Spirit Gust, stat check, courage 50, deal 5. Enlightened Tenacity, 5 earth, stat check, courage 30, deal 5, stat check, courage 50, deal 5, stat check, courage 70, deal 5. So that can be a total of 20, if you also have earth, obviously. Petrifying Power, 5 earth. If you do not control the location, it deals 0. Clean Slide, same thing as Sleet Slide, except for earth. Flood Force, 15 water. Tecto Strike, 10 base, 10 earth. Stat check, courage 60, deal 10. Earth Pulse, same as Flood Force, except earth. And Incessant Wave, 10 base, 5 water. Stat check, courage 60, deal 5. So now we get to modifying this deck for smaller use. So if I were to be fighting a smaller team, I mean, if it were to be like, for example, a 3v3 match, then I think what I would do is I would change it so that I would probably change it just to be like this, with Hydrome, Machinaz with the Orcus of Undin, and Unholden. Feel free to leave any suggestions. I will try and make other more basic decks. But that brings up another point. If you, however, are not using Mujic counters, if you're not using Mujics, then it might be better just to frontline it with 2 powerhouses like Machinaz, or you could still keep Hydrum up there and activate his Hive with Intense Polyphony, and maybe replace Unholden with Mean, except you might want to keep Unholden there. However, if you decide not to use Hydrome and use a Machinaz instead, then definitely replace it with Mean. Now, if it were 1v1, once again, this is not the best setup for a 3v3 or 1v1. I just took it because it's easy to use for all 3 styles of play. I will try and make other decks that are made essentially just for 3v3. But I'm hoping that this will kind of more teach you the system, because I'm also hoping that people will be able to start making their own decks from this, and that I'm not like just hand-fisting decks to people saying this is how you need to do it. Now, if it was 1v1, I would probably go in just with Unholden, just because his courage is sufficient enough. He could activate his own Hive ability, thus giving him 90 energy in total with the battle gear, and he would still have 1 Mujic counter left to cast a Mujic, which I would recommend it being probably Unisong, since nothing else could really work as well from... Actually, no. Catharaz Cacophony might, because it could heal him 10 and deal your opponent anywhere from like 0 to 20 damage, depending on how many element types they have. Or you could always, once again, take Machanaz or Hydrome if you're doing it with Mugix, because then you could once again use Intense Polyphony. So yeah, guys, thanks again for watching. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. I think what I will try and do is, now that I've shown you this with Danians, for the other tutorial videos, I will try and make a 3v3, 1v1, and 6v6 deck, with interchanging it between Mepedian, Overworld, and Underworld. I'll decide which one goes where later as I start to formulate the decks. So, yeah, guys, thanks again for watching. Goodbye.